Hello and welcome to the science lesson Cell and Cell Organelles. And here we will only be looking at the components of a plant cell. Plasma membrane, cell wall, cytoplasm are the components of a cell. In my previous video, we looked in detail into what are the components of an animal cell. And in this one, we will be doing the components of a plant cell. First of all, the cell wall. Found around the cells of plants, it is elastic, strong, is around the cell membrane and is made up of carbohydrates like cellulose and pectin. Lignin, suberin, cutin are added in the cell wall as needed. So this dark green structure outside the plasma membrane is the cell wall. Now the cell wall supports and protects the cell by preventing the entry of excess water into the cell. Next is the plasma or cell membrane, a thin, fragile, elastic covering that separates the cell from the outer environment. So, the plant cell has the plasma membrane, a thin, fragile, elastic covering, and over that it has the cell wall, which is thicker and elastic. Next component is the cytoplasm, which is the fluid between the plasma membrane and the nucleus. It is moving, sticky, and all cell organelles are present in this sticky fluid. And here, all the reactions in the cell take place in the cytoplasm. If you can look at this picture here, you can see the nucleus here and the liquid all around the cell, which is called the cytoplasm. The other part of the cytoplasm is cytosol, and this stores substances like amino acids, glucose, vitamins, etc. In plant cell, the cytoplasm is thin and mostly pushed to the edge because of a large vacuole. So look at this largest structure in the plant cell, the vacuole. And because of this big vacuole, you find the nucleus pushed to the side and all the cytoplasm also pushed towards the sides of the cell. Now, cell organelles are specialized subunits. They have specific functions and they are known as the organs of the cell. So we have the cell wall, then we have the cytoplasm, and within the cytoplasm there are small units called the cell organelles. Okay, so you see a 1, 2, 3, 4, everything marked are the organs of the cell called cell organelles. In plants, we have the nucleus, endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi complex, mitochondria, lysosomes, vacuoles, plastids, chloroplast as the cell organelles. First, we come to the main part of the nucleus. It is present at the edge of the cell. This nucleus is covered by a double-layered membrane, two layers of membrane having pores and which allow the passage of materials in and out of the nucleus. So this is the double membrane nucleus. The nucleus has one round nucleolus within it, a small round structure called the nucleolus, and a network of chromatin fibers. Now, what are chromatin fibers? Thin thread-like structures. And at the time when the cell needs to divide, these chromatin fibers stick together or condense together and they form short, thick chromosomes. Functions of the nucleus: to control all activities of the cell, to control the division of the cell, to regulate cell metabolism by synthesizing various enzymes. So whatever is happening within the cell, it is done by various enzymes. Now, enzymes are proteins that help to speed up any reaction that is taking place. Next is the endoplasmic reticulum. This conducts substance inside the cell. Okay, so this is the structure. Here you see the nucleus, and starting from the nucleus is the endoplasmic reticulum. It has a net-like structure and made up of interconnected small tubes, mini tubes, and sheets filled with some fluid. Okay. Now, ER or endoplasmic reticulum is connected to the nucleus from the inner side of the cell, and it moves on towards the plasma membrane, that is towards the outer part of the cell. Rough ER, there are two types of ER, that is rough and smooth. The rough ones have ribosome granules, as you can see in the picture here, on its outer surface. The functions of the ER. It is the framework that supports the cell. Now this round structure is the nucleus. From the middle of the cell right up to the plasma membrane, you have these mini tubes, net-like structure, okay, filled with a fluid which gives a kind of a support to the cell. Conduction of proteins within the cell is another function of the endoplasmic reticulum. The next comes the Golgi complex, made up of 5 to 8 hollow, that means nothing inside, flat sacs called cisternae, and they are parallel to each other. You see this Golgi complex? These hollow, nothing inside, I said, and they are called cisternae, and they are parallel to each other. Now, cisternae are filled with enzymes. Okay? Proteins coming from the ER are enclosed in vesicles which come towards the Golgi complex. Yeah, so you can see here the vesicle, transport vesicle coming from the ER moving towards the Golgi complex. Now, they fuse with the Golgi membranes and empty all their contents into this cisternae. Now, cisternae already has some small enzymes there. So the vesicles come from the endoplasmic reticulum. They come and they empty their contents into the cisternae. As the proteins pass through the cisternae, part through these parallel sheets, they start modifying because of the enzymes present there. Again, they are packed in vesicles. If you can see the newly formed vesicles. Okay, so we have vesicles coming from the ER, passing through all those cisternae, and then again forming vesicles and coming out of the Golgi complex. The vesicles exit from this maturation phase here. Hence, the cisternae works like a packing department, packing and distributing substances. Okay, so first the incoming vesicle will come to the Golgi apparatus, empty all its substances into the Golgi apparatus. It moves from phase to phase, it moves through all these sheets and again comes out packed again in some other outgoing vesicle. Functions of the Golgi complex. It is the secretory organ of the cell. Secretion. See, it secretes this vesicle. Yeah. It modifies, sorts and packs materials synthesized in the cells and sends them to various places like the plasma membrane, lysosomes, etc. And it produces vacuoles and secretory vesicles. It makes them. It also helps in the formation of cell wall, plasma membrane and lysosome. So not only it works like the packing department, also helps in the formation of the cell wall, the plasma membrane and another cell organelle called lysosome. Energy which is needed by the cell is produced by another organelle called the mitochondria. It is a double membrane structure. If you can see in the picture here, there's an outer membrane and the inner membrane. The outer membrane is porous, like a sponge, and the inner membrane is deeply folded, and these folds are called cristae. The inner cavity is filled with a protein matrix containing ribosomes, phosphate granules, and DNA. Hence, the mitochondria can produce its own proteins. With the help of enzymes, mitochondria oxidize the carbohydrates and fats in the cell. The energy which is released in this process is stored in the mitochondria in the form of this energy molecule called ATP. Full form is adenosine triphosphate. Plant cells have less mitochondria than animal cells because plant cells don't do so many actions or don't use so much energy or don't need so much energy like animals. So they have less mitochondria, and this mitochondria, because it makes energy, it is called the powerhouse of the cell. The functions of mitochondria: to produce the energy-rich compound ATP or adenosine triphosphate, synthesis of proteins, carbohydrates, lipids by using energy in the ATP, the making of proteins. Synthesis meaning to make it. We have another cell organelle, this huge structure in the middle called a vacuole. Now, vacuoles are the storage sacs for solids or liquids in the cell. They don't have any particular size or shape. The structure of the vacuole changes according to the need of the cell. So if the cell needs to store more, the vacuole becomes a little bigger. If it doesn't need to store anything, then the vacuole shrinks. A vacuole is bound by a single membrane. So it's not a double membrane, but a single membrane structure. The function of vacuoles: to maintain the osmotic pressure of the cell, how much of liquid is going in and coming out. We cannot allow too much to come in. So just that amount which is required, it maintains that pressure. To store glycogen, proteins, water, etc. in the cell. In a plant cell, vacuoles are full of cell sap, okay, and provide turgidity and rigidity to the cell. So because we have this big structure containing cell sap or the liquid of the cell, the cell gets a nice structure. Now we have another organelle called plastids, and these give different colors to plant cells. If you see here, the plastids are chromoplast, different colored, chloroplast, and the one without a color called leucoplast. They are present only in plant cells. Plants need the green color, orange color fruit, red color flowers, etc. Now, they have double membranes and are of two types. Two types of plastids are the leucoplast. They are white or colorless. And we have the chromoplast, which are colored. You can see the green color, the red, the green tomato becoming into a red one. So that is because of these chromoplasts. The function of the plastids is to convert solar energy into chemical energy, that is to make solar energy into food of the plant. Chromoplasts or the colored plastids give different colors to flowers and fruits, as you can see here, the different kinds of vegetables and the colors. Okay. Leucoplasts are involved in the synthesis and storage of food like starch, oils, proteins, etc. The last one is the chloroplasts, which are important for photosynthesis to take place in the leaves. Now, chloroplast is the green plastid. Chlorophyll in chloroplast traps the solar energy or the sun's rays and converts it into chemical energy, which is the food of the plant. Stroma in the chloroplast. Now, you can see this aqueous fluid in the chloroplast. Okay, that is called stroma. It contains enzymes. Now, enzymes are small liquids, in small amounts, which help, functions in the cell to take place faster. So, this stroma contains enzymes, DNA, ribosomes, and carbohydrates that are all necessary for photosynthesis. That's why the chloroplasts are green in color. These are the different cell organelles in a plant cell.